Good Sunday morning and welcome to WGN TV Political Report. I'm Paul Lisnick. We begin this morning at City Hall. It's been just over 2 months since Mayor Brandon Johnson took office, and his allies at City Council already making his progressive campaign agenda a reality. Last week, several new plans to help mostly low-wage workers were introduced, including a phase-out of Chicago's sub-minimum wage for tipped workers and more guaranteed paid time off for full-time employees. And coming up this week, a council committee will hold a hearing on the controversial Chicago home ordinance. If approved, Chicago's real estate transfer tax would triple for homes sold for more than $1 million to pay for services for the homeless. It was blocked by former Mayor Lightfoot, but became a central promise by then candidate Johnson.
We're working together. All stakeholders will play a part in coming up with the best pathway forward. I mean, that's the hallmark of my administration. Again, to be competent, compassionate, and collaborative. So that has not changed. I would wonder why someone who understands the value of what real economic investment looks like, which is investing in people, would be concerned about investing in people.
Alderman Walter Burnett represents the city's 27th ward that covers a large part of the north and west sides from Old Town through the West Loop out to Humboldt Park. He was appointed to serve as vice mayor when the new council was sworn in this spring. Mr. Vice Mayor, it's good to see you.
Good to see you, Paul.
So you got this job, appointment by Mayor Johnson, but here's the thing. You supported Mayor Lightfoot, and then in the runoff, you supported Paul Vallis. Yes. You said your philosophy did not match Mayor Johnson's. You don't believe in defunding the police. You don't believe in tax increases. And you told him that. And he said, be my vice mayor.
Yes. So, I found the mayor to be very compromising. Right? It's very refreshing to talk to him because he's very balanced. He understands, he listens to all sides. And I think he wants the city to be a better place. I know he does, but he also understands, and he's listening to a lot of business people, and he's not trying to hurt people to help people. He's trying to get everyone to help each other.
Does that require you to get on board with programs or plans that you might not support, but now you have to because you're the vice mayor?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, I still have my independence. I still have a community that I have to represent, but I do have the opportunity to try to encourage some compromise, right? I do have the opportunity to be a voice for those groups that I do represent, that is in my ward, because I do represent a large community of businesses, restaurants, real estate, all of those different things. So I am able to, interject a lot of those concerns, and also try to help to come up with ideas to make it work for everyone.
So until the role of vice mayor, literally, I mean, we never even had one, but then when you get a mayor who dies in office, what are you going to do? So we create this vice mayor role, but it was just to replace a mayor who doesn't survive. But that's not true for you. You have a $400,000 budget, a staff. You are an emissary, a surrogate for the mayor. So what does that mean? Are you showing up the stuff he doesn't want to go to, or you get some good stuff?
Yeah, so I was just telling the mayor the other day, I'm like, look, Mayor, what's going on, man? You go to NASCAR and you send me way out south, to speak at a church.
Got to be at both places, though.
That's right. But, he laughed. He said, man, you can come if you want to. I'm like, I'm good. I'm fine. But anyway, it's an honor. I mean, it's an honor. I'm flattered. I'm very humbled that he would choose me to be in this position to be able to represent him and help speak for the city of Chicago. I'm blessed to have been around for a long time. I'm the longest serving alderman to date today in the city council, but also have a very diverse ward and have dealt with a lot of diverse things. So I got a broader understanding of a lot of things that go on, and I have seen a lot of things that work and don't work. So I'm blessed that he gave me an opportunity.
And what you're seeing, of course, is a big rollout of the progressive-backed agenda as it moves forward this past week. Nothing moving forward quite yet. And with this sort of increasingly left-leaning council, is there a clear path for him to get an agenda done? Is this an uphill battle? What do you see?
Well, I see people talking. I see people listening. I would say this mayor is a great listener. He's been to all of the business organizations throughout the city of Chicago, meeting with some of the biggest people and listening, but he's not forgetting his roots and where he came from and the people that he want to help. I mean, he's sticking to his guns, but at the same time, he's trying to get compromises out of it. And I think, I think you're going to see a lot of people coming together and working together.
You did say he's listening to business leaders now and tourism leaders. He's got to obviously be listening, but he wants lots of new taxes to come into play. We're not seeing that. He just issued that report. We don't really see that in there. What's the direction that, as far as the city's concerned, with regard to new taxes and fees?
Well, I think, and I know that him and his administration, I mean, when you get in, it's a different lens, right? Because you do have to balance a budget. We're getting ready to deal with our first budget. So we're gonna all look at how we make these things happen, because it's almost like a domino effect. When you take something from one place, you gotta, if you give something to one thing, you gotta take something from somewhere else. And I think this mayor is smart enough and savvy enough to try to make it balanced and not hurt people, not kill people, so to speak.
Well, one of the things you did, kind of to maybe certainly add to a positive view, was you said, look, all those things he said in the campaign, they were they weren't necessarily a promise, they were a goal.
Yeah, and their goals, and and a lot of them are meaningful goals. I mean, to be honest, Paul, I was one of the co-sponsors of the Bring Home Chicago, right, for homelessness. I actually used to be on the Coalition for the Homeless board. But also, this treatment, not trauma, is something that we really have to deal with, because we do have a lot of mentally ill people all over the city of Chicago, and we have to do something about it. It's not what we do, it's how we do it, right? And it's not what he wants to do, it's how he do it. And I think we're going to figure out some ways to do these things. Now, as far as the defund the police, we know we don't have enough police. I think that's becoming a real reality to everyone, and we know that we need more people to get on the police department, but we just don't have a lot of people joining the police department.
On the Bring Chicago Home Plan, you are a part of that. That really would need to be funded by that real estate transfer tax for $1 million purchases. Will that happen?
You know what? I think most of the votes are there, right? So, but what I do believe is that it won't be as much as people thought that they were going to increase it to. I think it's going to be something that's going to be compromisable. I think a lot of folks have come to the realization that the votes are there, that they need to work together and try to figure something out that's not going to make it as they perceive to be as painful as they thought it would.
There's a need for cops. There's a violence problem. Mayor Johnson has, at this point, just under 3 weeks till he's got to make that selection or go back to the drawing board on picks. Your ward isn't immune to violent robberies, carjackings, and stuff.
Not at all.
What do you see happening in this next top cop selection?
Well, I see Mayor Johnson picking someone that's going to be well-versed, someone that's going to also, deal with all of the consent decrees and all of the other things that we have going on, someone who's not going to just try to arrest our way out of things. I think it's going to be a person with a broad perspective on what we need to do to make these things work and make the city feel comfortable. And we know that the biggest challenge with the whole city is the perspective of the city, how people perceive us not only in the city but also outside of the city.
Just a quick question about Bally's. The temporary casino looks like it's on its way. The big permanent one, that's in your ward, so you're going to be living with that. And there's been some concerns lately about minority hiring. Can you give us an update on how that's headed?
Well, we're moving in the right direction in reference to minority hiring. They've been reaching out to a lot of people. We've been doing a lot of job fairs. We've been trying to get people to sign up. Paul, we're having a challenge in the whole city, not just all corporations are having a hard time getting people to come to work. For some reason, folks aren't signing up to work. They had to have several job fairs to get enough people to sign up to work at these companies. Wow.
All right, well, Mr. Vice Mayor, Mr. Alderman, which title do you like better?
Well, I get paid for alderman, but I'm fine. I like them all.
Well, Alderman, thanks for being with me.
Right,
I appreciate
thank you, Paul. Appreciate you.
We're going to take our first break, and coming up next on WGN TV Political Report.
Safety, accountability, fairness, equity, and justice won for the people of Illinois.
Illinois is set to make history as the first state to eliminate cash bail entirely. What the program will look like this fall when we come back.